Less than a year, Jay answered. They've already entered the outer reaches of our solar system. The Na'vi had brought technology to help, advanced shields and energy weapons unlike anything humans had created. But there was a problem. They can't build these defenses themselves, Hana said. Their bodies can't handle certain materials, they need human hands. Even more surprising, the Na'vi needed human minds. They projected images showing unique patterns in human brains, neural connections that the crystalline Na'vi lacked. They think differently than we do, Sue explained. They're logical, mathematical, but they lack creativity and intuition. So they need us to finish their weapons, Doyun said suspiciously. Convenient. The world remained divided. Some nations welcomed the aliens and their technology. Others closed their borders, fearing a trick. Meanwhile, astronomers confirmed disturbing changes in the outer planets. Something was absorbing their energy. A week after the summit, Eld, the Na'vi leader, requested a private meeting with Jay's team. Inside the ship, they entered a chamber where light danced in complex patterns. This is their history, Hana translated as images appeared around them. Their civilization was over 10,000 years old. The Na'vi showed planets being consumed by expanding darkness. Billions of their kind had perished. Only a few thousand escaped in ships like this one, spreading through the galaxy seeking allies. Why Earth? Doyun asked. We're not the most advanced species they could find. Eld created a pattern showing human brainwaves compared to Na'vi ones. Where Na'vi thoughts moved in perfect, predictable patterns, human thoughts jumped and sparked chaotically. They need creativity, Sue realized. They need our messy, unpredictable thinking. That night, Jay couldn't sleep. He went to the lab and found Hana already there studying Na'vi technology blueprints. I don't understand half of this, she admitted. It's like trying to build a quantum computer with stone tools. Then we need to think differently, Jay said. Not try to understand it all, but find patterns we recognize. They worked through the night. By morning, they had identified components similar to Earth technologies, just far more advanced. They could adapt human manufacturing to create some parts. Meanwhile, Doyun discovered the Na'vi had visited 16 other worlds before Earth. What happened to those civilizations? He demanded of Eld. The answer was troubling. 12 races had refused help, fearing the aliens. They were consumed by the void. 4 accepted but couldn't adapt the technology in time. Only fragments of their civilizations survived. We're their last hope, Sue told the Emergency Council. And they might be ours. President Choi made a decision. We will work with them. All resources, all nations. But, she added firmly, we build these defenses, ourselves. We understand every piece. The Na'vi agreed. Eld assigned 20 of their kind to work directly with human scientists. The others departed in their ship, to distract the Void Eaters away from Earth, while defenses were built. As Jay watched the main ship depart, leaving just a smaller vessel behind, he felt the weight of responsibility crushing down. Do you think we can do this? Hana asked beside him. We have to, Jay replied. Otherwise, we'll be just another failed experiment in their history. 6 months after the Na'vi's arrival, Earth had transformed. Every nation had united in the biggest project in human history. The defense system took shape, a network of satellites surrounding Earth built with a mix of alien knowledge and human innovation. Jay barely recognized his old lab. Now it was the central command for Project SHIELD, filled with scientists and engineers from around the world. On the main screen, red dots showed the approaching Void Eaters, now visible as dark spots against Saturn's rings. They're consuming faster than we predicted, Hana said, pointing to the data. Saturn has lost 10% of its mass in just a week. Eld, their Na'vi ally, created worried light patterns. Time short, their translation system rendered in simple English. Defense not complete. The basic technology worked. Early tests had successfully created energy shields that could block the void's consumption effect, but they wouldn't be strong enough to protect the entire planet. We're missing something, Jay said, rubbing his tired eyes. He hadn't slept properly in days. Sue entered the lab, carrying coffee for everyone. "The Na'vi ships are falling back," she reported. "They can't delay the void any longer." Do-Yun, now General Do-Yun after a rapid promotion, joined them. "All military forces are on alert. If the shields fail, we evacuate as many people as possible to the bunkers." Eld touched the screen showing Earth's shield network. "Energy pattern, wrong," the Na'vi tried to explain. "Too rigid. Void will find way through." "What do you mean, too rigid?" Jay asked. Eld's body glowed in frustration, struggling to express a concept humans had no words for. "Show us," Sue suggested, bringing out her tablet. "Draw it." Eld created swirling light patterns which Sue recorded. "They looked almost like music," Hana suddenly said. "These patterns look like sound waves." Sue's eyes widened. "Not just music. Dance, art. The patterns are flowing, changing. Not fixed, like our shields." Jay understood. "Our defenses are static, predictable. The void will adapt and break through." "We need something unpredictable," Do-Yun agreed. "Something that changes constantly." They worked through the night, incorporating human cultural elements into the shield design. Music rhythms became energy pulse patterns. Dance movements inspired shifting shield harmonics. Art from every human culture influenced the visual light spectrum of the defenses. 1 week later, the Void Eaters reached Earth's orbit. From the ground, they looked like moving shadows against the stars, consuming light itself. In the command center, President Choi gave the order. "Activate the shields." Jay pressed the button. Around the world, thousands of devices activated simultaneously. The sky lit up with beautiful, ever-changing patterns of energy, a blend of science and art, logic and creativity. The Void Eaters approached the shield. Everyone held their breath. The dark entities pushed against the energy barrier, searching for weaknesses. But every time they adapted to one pattern, the shield shifted to something new, something unpredictable. "It's working," Hana shouted, watching the readings. "They can't get through." For 3 days, the Void Eaters continued their assault. The shields held, but energy reserves dropped dangerously low. "We can't maintain this much longer," Do-Yun warned. Then Sue noticed something strange. "Look at their movement pattern. They're confused." The void entities had begun to move erratically, pulling back from certain shield areas. "They're used to consuming predictable energy," Jay realized. "Our chaotic human patterns are indigestible to them." Eld's body glowed brightly in excitement. "Yes, void cannot eat what it cannot understand." They adjusted the shields, increasing the artistic elements, making them even more unpredictable. Traditional Korean drumming rhythms, Brazilian samba patterns, Indian ragas, African tribal dances, all became part of Earth's defense. On the 4th day, the Void Eaters retreated. Slowly at first, then faster, they pulled away from Earth, back, toward the outer solar system. "They're leaving," President Choi announced to the world. "Humanity has survived." Celebrations erupted globally. But in the command center, Eld created a solemn light pattern. "Void will return. Different next time." Then, "We'll be ready," Jay promised. Together. 1 month later, a new Na'vi ship arrived in Earth orbit. It carried representatives from other surviving alien races. A galactic alliance formed to fight the Void. "They want Earth to join them," Hana translated during the meeting. "We're the first species to actually drive the Void away, not just delay it." As the human delegation prepared to board the alien ship for the first interstellar diplomatic mission, Jay looked back at Earth shining blue and beautiful. "What do they want from us?" Do-Yun asked. Sue smiled. "What the Na'vi wanted: our creativity, our unpredictability, our humanity," Jay said, understanding at last why they had been chosen. In a logical, ordered universe, the chaotic beauty of human expression was the... Sue suggested adding cultural elements to their messages. Simple music, art patterns, and symbolic gestures of peace from various human traditions. Meanwhile, Captain Do-Yun, drilled his security forces daily. Tanks and missile systems surrounded the landing site. Fighter jets practiced formations overhead. Medical teams prepared quarantine facilities fearing alien diseases. 12 days before the landing, the aliens responded to Earth's message. They accepted the landing site and sent new images, pictures of their own bodies, strange crystalline forms that seemed to glow from within. "They're showing us what they look like," Jay explained to the president, "so we won't be afraid when we see them." But many people were already afraid. Some religious groups called the aliens demons. Others worshipped them as gods. Conspiracy theories spread online. Thousands fled Seoul despite government assurances. 9 days before landing, satellite images captured the first clear picture of the alien ship, a massive diamond-shaped vessel with strange glowing patterns across its surface. "It's beautiful," Hana whispered, looking at the images. "And powerful," Do-Yun added. "Those aren't decorations, they're energy systems beyond our technology." 7 days before landing, strange lights appeared in the sky worldwide. The alien ship had released smaller vessels that positioned themselves in orbit around Earth. "Are they attacking?" President Choi demanded. "No," Jay said after analyzing. "They're signals. They're setting up communication relays. They want to talk to all of Earth, not just us." 4 days before landing, the aliens sent their most complex message yet. Images of destruction, stars dying, entire planets going dark. Then images of their ship fleeing, coming to Earth. "They're refugees," Sue said confidently. "Something is destroying their home, and they're running from it." "Or that's what they want us to think," Do-Yun countered. The night before the landing, no one on the team slept. Jay and Hana refined their translation programs. Sue prepared cultural presentations. Do-Yun checked security measures one last time. Dawn broke with clear skies over Seoul. Millions watched from a safe distance or on screens worldwide as the massive alien ship descended through the atmosphere, silent and graceful despite its enormous size. It hovered over the landing site, casting a shadow over the assembled human delegation. Then slowly, carefully, it settled onto the ground without disturbing so much as a blade of grass. Earth held its breath, waiting for first contact. The alien ship settled on the landing site with surprising gentleness for something so massive. A deep hum filled the air, making teeth vibrate and birds scatter from nearby trees. Jay stood with the first contact team behind a safety line 1 kilometer away. Through binoculars, he watched the enormous diamond-shaped vessel shimmer under the morning sun. "No movement yet," Captain Do-Yun reported, his face tense as he scanned the ship. Around them, soldiers gripped their weapons nervously. 2 hours passed. News helicopters circled at a safe distance. Billions watched on screens worldwide. "Maybe they're studying us first," Hana suggested, checking her translation equipment for the 100th time. Finally, a section of the ship's surface rippled like water. A doorway appeared and light spilled out from inside. 3 tall figures emerged. The aliens, the Navi, as they would later call themselves, stood nearly 3 meters tall. Their bodies seemed made of living crystal, semi-transparent and glowing with soft blue light from within. They had no visible mouths, just smooth faces with large, deep eyes that reflected light like polished gems. "They're beautiful," Sue whispered. As the aliens moved forward, they raised their long arms. Suddenly, a transparent dome of energy expanded from the ship, covering an area about 1/2 kilometer wide. "Defensive position," Do-Yun shouted. Soldiers raised their weapons. "Wait," Jay called. "Look, they're not attacking." Indeed, the aliens had stopped. One stepped forward, raising both hands in what seemed like a peaceful gesture. "We need to approach them," President Choi said through their earpieces from his secure location. "The committee has selected 5 representatives. Jay, Hana, Sue, Do-Yun, and Minister Lee were chosen to make first contact. They drove slowly toward the energy field in an electric vehicle. Do-Yun insisted on driving, his hand never far from his sidearm. When they reached the energy dome, Jay carefully extended his hand. The barrier felt like thick gel, but allowed his hand to pass through. "It's not meant to keep us out," he said. "I think it's protecting them from our atmosphere." The team entered the dome. Inside, the air felt different, cleaner, but with a strange metallic taste. The aliens waited, perfectly still. Now up close, Jay could see patterns swirling beneath their crystalline skin, like stars in motion. Hana activated their translation device, projecting the mathematical sequences they had prepared. The aliens watched, then one raised its arm. Light patterns formed in the air between them. Their response. They're using light to communicate, Hana realized. She quickly adjusted their equipment to record the patterns. For hours they exchanged basic concepts, numbers, simple objects, gestures of peace. Progress was painfully slow. Then Sue noticed something important. The patterns they make when moving. Watch how they shift their weight and position their limbs. It's also communication. She began mimicking their movements. The aliens responded immediately, their inner lights pulsing brighter. Body language, Jay said. They speak with their entire being. By sunset, they had established rudimentary communication. The aliens called themselves Navi, or at least that was the closest human pronunciation. They came from a star system thousands of light years away. When Hana showed them images of Earth's solar system, the Navi created a disturbing light display, darkness spreading across stars, consuming everything in its path. The Void Eaters, Jay translated, the term appearing in their system after complex exchanges. They're running from something that destroys whole star systems. Du-Yun frowned. Are they bringing this danger to us? The Navi seemed to sense his concern. One approached Do-Yun slowly, then created a light pattern showing Earth surrounded by a protective shield, with the Navi and humans standing together. They want to help us, Sue said. They think this danger is coming here anyway. As night fell, more Navi emerged from the ship, about 50 in total. They moved with perfect grace, their bodies illuminating the darkness. The first contact team returned to their base camp at the edge of the landing site. News of successful communication spread worldwide, bringing both relief and new fears. If these Void Eaters are real, President Choi said in their evening briefing, we need to know everything about them. That night, Jay couldn't sleep. He walked outside his tent and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, something was destroying entire civilizations. And according to the Navi, it was heading toward Earth. We have so little time, he whispered, to the night sky. 3 days after the Navi's arrival, world leaders gathered for an emergency summit. Meanwhile, at the landing site, Jay and his team worked around the clock to improve their communication with the aliens. The breakthrough came when Hana connected their translation system directly to the energy field surrounding the Navi ship. The field itself was a form of communication technology. Suddenly, alien concepts flowed more clearly into their computers. The Void Eaters are not a species, Jay explained to the assembled officials. They're more like a cosmic phenomenon, living darkness that consumes energy from stars and planets. How long do we have? President Choi asked. I'll create an engaging first part of the Sci-Fi Story, First Contact Protocol, in about 800 words, written in simple English and third-person style. Here goes. First Contact Protocol. Jay Park walked into the small lab and sighed. Another day of looking at strange signals from space that probably meant nothing. He took a sip of his coffee and sat down at his computer. Good morning, Jay, said Hana Kim, looking up from her screen. Did you sleep? Not much, Jay admitted. I kept thinking about that weird pattern we found yesterday. 6 months ago, their team at the Korean Space Research Center had picked up an unusual signal from somewhere near Alpha Centauri. Most people thought it was just space noise, but Jay felt different. Something about the pattern seemed too regular. Jay started his work, routine, checking the overnight data. His eyes grew wide as he stared at his screen. Hana, come look at this, he called, his voice shaking. Hana hurried over. On the screen was a clear pattern of pulses. Not random noise, but something that repeated in a way that couldn't be natural. Is that? Hana whispered. Yes, Jay said. Someone is sending this message. I think we just found proof of alien life. Within hours, the lab was filled with people. The center director, Mr. Tay, called an emergency meeting. We need to be absolutely sure before we tell anyone. Mr. Tay said firmly. Check everything 3 times. For the next 2 days, Jay and Hana barely left the lab. They checked and rechecked their findings. They ran tests to make sure the signal wasn't coming from Earth or a satellite. The pattern remained the same. It's a message, Jay said finally. Look here. He showed Hana how the patterns matched simple mathematical sequences. Prime numbers, binary code, and something else. Coordinates. These numbers point to a place on Earth, Hana said, her voice barely above a whisper. And there's a date, too. Jay nodded. 3 weeks from now, near Seoul. The news broke worldwide the next day. Humans had received their first confirmed alien message. Some people celebrated in the streets, others hid in fear. Religious leaders made statements. Military forces went on high alert. Jay found himself pulled from his quiet lab work into meeting rooms with government officials. Dr. Park, what exactly do they want? Asked Defense Minister Yoon. The message only gives a time and place, Jay explained. They're coming here to meet us, that's all we know. It could be a trap, said General Mun, frowning. We should prepare our defenses. Or it could be the greatest moment in human history, argued Science Minister Lee. We need to prepare to welcome them. While the politicians argued, Jay and Hana worked tirelessly to learn more from the signal. There's something else in the message, Jay said one night after everyone else had gone home. Look at this secondary pattern. Hana studied the data. It's images? Very simple ones. Slowly, they began to decode crude pictures. A star system with 8 planets. Our solar system. 2 figures standing together, one tall and strange-looking, one human-shaped, and something that looked like a hand reaching out. They're trying to show peaceful intentions, Hana said. A week passed and telescopes detected something massive entering our solar system. The alien ship was real and headed straight for Earth. The world watched in a mixture of wonder and terror as the object grew closer. Military forces gathered near the predicted landing site outside Seoul, while a diplomatic team was hastily assembled. President Choi appointed Jay and Hana to the first contact team, along with diplomats, military officers, and scientists from around the world. We need people who understand their communication, the president explained. 3 days before the scheduled landing, something unexpected happened. The alien signal changed. New images, more complex. They showed something dark spreading across space, destroying stars. Then came pictures of the aliens and humans standing together. They're running from something, Jay realized. They need our help, or they want us to think that, cautioned Captain Do-yun, the military representative on their team. We must be careful. As the landing day approached, Seoul began to empty. Some people fled to the countryside while others wanted to be near the historic event. The night before the landing, Jay couldn't sleep. He stood on the roof of the research center, looking up at the stars. Are you scared? Asked Hana, joining him. Yes, Jay admitted, but also excited. Tomorrow everything changes. What do you think they want? Hana asked. Jay thought about the images of destruction they had decoded. I think they're refugees, running from something terrible. In the dark sky above, a new light appeared, brighter than any star. The alien ship was now visible to the naked eye, a shining point growing larger by the hour. Whatever happens tomorrow, Jay said, nothing will ever be the same again. The morning after the alien signal confirmation, Jay woke to his phone buzzing nonstop. The president had called an emergency meeting of the newly formed First Contact Committee. Jay rushed to get dressed, his heart racing. At the Blue House, Seoul's presidential complex, security was tighter than ever. Guards checked Jay's ID 3 times before letting him into the underground conference room. Inside, faces looked tense. President Choi stood at the head of the table beside Defense Minister Yoon and Science Minister Lee. Captain Do-yun, a stern-faced military officer Jay had met yesterday, stood in the corner studying everyone. Dr. Park, the president nodded. The aliens will land in exactly 17 days. We need a plan. Hana arrived minutes later, carrying stacks of data printouts. The Alien vessel has entered our solar system, she reported. It's massive, almost 2 kilometers long. The room grew quiet. Something that big could cause tremendous damage if it crashed. Or if it attacked. We have 2 priorities, President Choi said. First, protect our people. Second, establish communication. Dr. Park and Dr. Kim will lead the communication team. Captain Do-Yun will handle security. Do-Yun stepped forward. My team has chosen a landing site 20 kilometers outside Seoul. Open ground, easy to secure, minimal civilian risk. Have you sent this location to the aliens? Jay asked. Not yet, Minister Lee said. We wanted your input on how to do that, Jay. And Hana spent the next 3 days creating a response message. They used the same mathematical patterns the aliens had sent, adding images of the landing site with coordinates. We need more help, Hana said on the 4th morning. People who think differently than we do. The government expanded their team. Soon their small lab was filled with linguists, mathematicians, artists, and cultural experts. Among them was Sue, an anthropologist who happened to be Captain Do-Yun's sister. If you want to understand an alien species, Sue explained, you need to think about their culture, not just their language.